Hello and welcome to my channel. Thank you for being here. Will France become the first European country to join BRICs? Well, as it turns out, it may be a possibility. France just openly expressed interest to join the alliance and asked for an official invitation to its next meeting. By the way, if you're new here and you have not yet subscribed, go ahead and join my channels on YouTube and Rumble for frequent updates. I would love to have you back. French President Macron has asked South African President Ramaphosa for an invitation to the upcoming BRICS summit that is scheduled to take place in Pretoria, South Africa. Reportedly, South African president was completely caught off guard by this request and asked for some time to discuss the idea with other BRICS members prior to extending an invitation. BRICS members are developing nations, so if France does become its newest member, and of course it takes time, it doesn't happen quickly, but if it is approved, France would be the first Western country, a G7 nation, to join a bloc of emerging economies. Of course, it sends a very clear signal, primarily that France is looking to align itself with the countries of the global south that possess immense amounts of natural resources and are quickly finding reasons to join forces. The French news outlet says Pretoria remains uncommittal and it is not clear if it would choose to extend an invitation to other international leaders. So that doesn't sound quite like a warm welcome, but do let me know in the comments below what you make of that. Macron's relations are not exactly great with the main members or the founding members of the BRICS bloc. For example, he signed a joint agreement with other G7 leaders just last month, essentially labeling China, quote, the greatest challenge to global security and prosperity in our time. Yet now he's seeking to effectively become its partner. In addition to that, France previously condemned Russia for gaining more and more influence among African nations who see it as a partner rather than a former master, if you will. So really interesting dynamic, really interesting developments, and I would say a really interesting and surprising move to join these BRICS countries. France is increasingly starting to voice opinions that don't really align with the Western world. The country has already started to accept the Chinese yuan in exchange for LNG, liquefied natural gas. This was the first time in recent history when a European country chose not to use the United States dollar for commodity purchases. So it is not too surprising that France is now calling on the European Union to end its reliance on the US dollar in order to avoid certain risks. Even more surprisingly, Macron added that France and Europe as a whole must not be caught up in crises that are not theirs. Of course, he's talking about the debt crisis in the United States that nobody here really talks about anymore, as if it doesn't exist, as well as other issues that involve China and the United States. Macron gave an interview recently and he emphasized his theory of strategic autonomy for Europe that, according to his beliefs and his views, would allow it to become, quote, the third superpower. And so he must see the controversial, rapidly expanding BRICS bloc as a tool to gain that autonomy, to gain that status and independence from the currency that has become a means to an end, that has become a tool. Right now, it's challenging, to say the least, to imagine Europe as a third superpower, not with the biggest economy in Europe, Germany, entering a recession and openly saying, we're going to need that cheap gas in order to revive our manufacturing. Manufacturing is the core of German economy. Germany accounts for 30% of the EU's GDP, so as long as Europe keeps struggling with energy costs, it is safe to say that those challenges would persist, and it is unlikely that it would become the third superpower. But how does China feel about these ideas? Reportedly, its leaders support the goal for Europe to enjoy a certain degree of autonomy, for a variety of reasons, of course, but we won't be going into politics here. In addition to that, in addition to France, an Eastern European country, Belarus, is interested in joining the BRICS alliance. Of course, its membership is very likely given that it has close ties to Russia. Russia is one of the founding members of the bloc. There are considerable advantages for Belarus, the main one being absolutely no restrictions for cross-border trade. As you know, Belarus is largely isolated right now. To that end, its president Lukashenko commented, "There should be no barriers and no restrictions at all. This is a basic principle for building our union, and we must reach the target as soon as possible." And really, the BRICS bloc is primarily an economic and financial alliance. When countries start using their national currencies to trade their natural resources, to trade their goods and services, it makes their currency more valuable because it increases demand for it. So for the developing nations, for these emerging markets that are pursuing this path, there is a number of substantial benefits that would make their economies stronger over the long run, primarily as the result of them not having to worry about currency exchange rates and related costs. They will have a degree of autonomy to manage their currency that they really haven't had in a while. One thing I want to point out is that actions do speak louder than words. These first trades of energy commodities that are not denominated in the US dollar is a sign that there is a very clear movement toward not just taking a step back and creating a distance between the dollar and a country's economy, but also creating a distance as the result of disagreement with certain policies that put too much at stake. The real issue appears to be the lack of trust. Now, a quick reminder to check out our sponsors, ExpressVPN. It is my recommended VPN or virtual private network service for secure online browsing. I've been using it every single day for a while. It is extremely easy to install and it helps me protect my personal data. Go ahead and claim 3 full months of free service when you sign up using the link shared in the description below. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, you might also want to watch another one where I walk you through Germany's economic collapse. I will link it below. Remember to give this video a like if you enjoyed it and consider sharing it. Subscribe to my channel. I would love to have you back for my next one. And check out my newsletter for more content. I'll see you in my next one tomorrow. Take care.